All right, so today's saint of the day. Let's take a look. We have Saint Francis, and we're going to get a really bad glare. Saint Francis Xavier Cabrini, otherwise known as Mother Cabrini. This is a big league saint, boys and girls. And so we're going to find out more. Now, if you are a subscriber of my channel, I know I've been doing a lot of religious videos. This is not a sermon. This is not trying to get you to convert. This is not trying to get you to be a believer. This is just showing you some cool stuff that I come across. Also, if you've originally followed my channel for antique content and antique appraisals and the history of certain antiques, stay tuned because a lot more are coming your way. All right, so we have Saint Francis Xavier Cabrini. Who was she? What did she do? Well, I tried to watch a movie about her today, but there was a movie called Cabrini recently. Now, you don't have to be religious to watch this. It's about the plight of the Italian-American immigrants in New York City during about 1890 to about 1910. And I started watching 20 minutes of it. And then the Angels Guild, my husband, by the way, saw this in the movie theater. He bought tickets for it with my daughter. But they want you to pay $12 a month. And yeah, you have to donate $12 a month or become a member and pay like one large fee. Not doing that because I'm cheap. While I do admit the movie, the first 20 minutes that they gave you for free was really riveting. Like a Hollywood motion picture about a saint. Usually they're cheesy and corny, but not this one. And darn, yeah, I'm tooting their horn. I did not want to have to pay. So I don't like having to pay. And so, yeah, I'm not going to get to watch the rest of the movie. So if you did, write in the comments below what happens next after the first 20 minutes. Okay, so what we have here is a first class holy relic. There's first, second, and third class holy relics. And first class is the best class because it comes from the body of the saint. I believe this to be the ex ossibus, which is Latin for bone. If not, it's ex carne or ex corpore, which is like of the body, like flesh, a piece of the heart, you know, stuff like that. So it could be a piece of the skin, but this one came without any documentation except for it has a wax seal on the back. So a lot of these become orphans when a priest dies and, you know, the family members don't know what to do with their things. And so they sell it on eBay, not knowing that it's really supposed to be in the hands of the church, not regular people like me or you, not ordinary people, that is. And so I was lucky enough to have found this coming from a priest's estate. So now, unfortunately, documentation is lost, but this is really a real one. There are fakes out there. You have to be careful. I consider myself a bit of a relics expert as I've been collecting them quite a long time now, and I do know that this one happens to be a real one, not a fake one with chicken bones in it or goat bones. Yes, people do that, sadly. So let's go ahead and place her in the proper receptacle, which is a reliquary, which you really need to do with your first class, second class relics. Third class, not so much. A third class is something touched to a first class relic. Second class is something that is a piece of like something that they once wore or used, like a pen, a Bible, a bit of their clothing, their shoes, a chalice they drank out of. You get the gist of it. All right, let's get her in her reliquary and we're going to find out more about this amazing saint. Okay, sorry for the diarrhea of the mouth, but I wanted to show you what I was telling you about with these stamps. And this is real. You can see the threads were not cut. This is actually from the Vatican. And that's how you know you have a real one. Can they fake these wax seals? Oh, yes, boys and girls, they do. And I can tell right away whether one's real or fake. How do I know? Because I just know because I've been collecting them for so long. Let's go ahead, get that reliquary, and find out the story of this amazing saint. So here she is in her beautiful reliquary. And, oh, she's beautiful. Look at this. All right, let's find out more. We're going to go to a cutaway, and we're going to find out more about Saint Francis Xavier Cabrini, or aka Mother Cabrini. Youngest of 13 children, Francis Cabrini was born on July 15, 1850, in a small village called Sant'Angelo Lodigiano, near the city of Milan, Italy. She grew up enthralled by the stories of missionaries and made up her mind to join a religious order. Because of her frail health, she was not permitted to join the Daughters of the Sacred Heart, who had been her teachers and under whose guidance she obtained her teaching certificate. However, in 1880, with 7 young women, Frances founded the Institute of the Missionary Sisters of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. She was resourceful and actually quite determined as she was prayerful, finding people who would donate what she needed in money, time, labor, and support. She met with many obstacles in her way, mostly from men, I might add. She and her sisters wanted to be missionaries in China. She visited Rome to obtain an audience with Pope Leo XIII. Basically, Pope Leo told her no, and she got 5 refusal letters until she decided to meet him purposeful. And so the handlers of the Pope told her to go and leave, and she refused to until the Pope gave her audience. He sat to tea with her, actually. Yes, he did. And she and her sisters wanted to be missionaries in China, and the Pope told Frances to go not to the east, but to the west, to New York, in Hunts Point, a terrible area, a very crime-ridden area filled with murderers and robbers and thieves, and the Italians were not liked in America. The Italians were considered the dirty, greasy Dagos, guinea pigs, monkeys. Yes, that actually really happened, discrimination against the Italians. So she went to Hunts Point. She started out there, and she was to help the thousands of Italian immigrants already in the United States who actually were quite poor but came here legally and actually lawfully, not illegally. In 1889, New York, it seemed to be filled with chaos and poverty. And in this new world stepped Mother Frances Cabrini. And to her shock and horror, she saw how terrible it was. And she was along with her sister companions. Cabrini organized catechism and education classes for the Italian immigrants, provided for the needs of many orphans. And by the way, people weren't very happy about her orphanages. They were so unhappy that they burned down pretty much everything that she built. Anytime she built something, it got burned down. She established schools and orphanages despite tremendous odds. Soon, the requests for her to open schools came to Frances Cabrini from all over the world. She built hospitals, actually in New York City, one of the best hospitals, because the poor people from Italy were actually left for dead. If you wanted to go into the hospital and you were dying and you were an Italian-American immigrant who was legally and lawfully there, you weren't even allowed to go into the hospital. So dead bodies would litter the street. Actually, dying people would litter the street. And she built hospitals and was told by the archbishop, who gave her a lot of flack as well, not to do it. Get out of here. He was actually politically corrupt. And so along with the New York mayor, they told her to scram or get out of there. And she refused to listen until she finally got a newspaper, a reporter. By the way, she strong-armed him into writing an article about the plight of the Italian-American immigrants. And thousands of letters arrived with money in it. And the archbishop told her, do not ask the American people for money. You are not to beg. And she did not listen. A very determined woman would not take no. And so soon requests for her to open schools and hospitals came from all over the world. She traveled to Europe, Central and South America, and throughout the United States. She made 23 transatlantic crossings and established 67 institutions, schools, hospitals, and orphanages. Her activity was relentless. She was a very ill woman, actually. She had the beginnings of tuberculosis when she arrived in New York, was constantly coughing and weak, and she did not care. The doctor, his name was Dr. Murphy in Hunts Point, New York City, actually was going around helping the poor, and he told her she had only 2 years to live, and she defied him. And on December 22nd, 1917, in Chicago, she died. In 1946, she was canonized, a saint, by Pope Pius XII in recognition of her holiness and service to mankind, and was named Patroness of Immigrants in 1950. Today, the missionary sisters, their lay collaborators, and volunteers work as teachers, nurses, social workers, administrators, and members of institutional boards of trustees. They can be found on 6 continents and 15 countries throughout the world, wherever there's need. Now, the plight of these immigrants, especially Italian Americans, before the Italian Americans, the Chinese were actually discriminated against. Before the Chinese, the Irish need not apply, and neither did the Italians. But the Italians proved themselves in history to learn English, assimilate, and love this country. And we built this country. And my ancestors also came to Ellis Island. And this is amazing. She was an amazing saint. Now, I showed you actually snippets from the movie Cabrini, which I did end up paying for. But they blocked me in 14 regions and told me I could not show the little snippets of the video. So I'm showing you what New York City looked like when St. Frances Cabrini, or Mother Frances Cabrini, came to Hunts Point and got her start in New York City, when instead she wanted to be in China and move to the Middle East. But the Pope told her no. And this is what it looked like. It was totally terrible. Much of a repeat like today. If you go to New York City, there's nothing but, well, I'm not going to get into this politics type of thing, but they are not, most people there are not there lawfully. They came by the millions without even a nickel in their pocket to try to find a street paved with gold. Unfortunately, now in today's era, the streets are not paved in gold anymore, and a lot of these people are going to have to go back. But the Italian Americans became upstanding citizens, well, besides the mafia, and really built New York City and many, many, many big cities around the United States with masonry, bridge work, construction, and the sweat from their brows. Although there was a lot of them that were in criminal activity because of the poverty, but Mother Cabrini found compassion and love for each and every one of them, whether they were criminals, guineas, dagos, wops, as they were called by the fellow citizens that were here. She actually found a lot of deep love for these people. So here we have this beautiful first-class relic that I'm so excited about adding to my collection. I am over the moon over this first-class relic, and a lot of people are coming on my videos and saying it is against the Catholic Church to have these relics. I will tell you, I have never been admonished by a priest or told I cannot have my first-class relics. As a matter of fact, I offer to have them help venerate these relics, and I offer them to all the local Catholic churches in my area to use these relics whenever they want. I will even drive them all there. I have over 50 something of them now in my collection. And so please stop coming on my video and telling me I'm sinning, because when I buy these, I do not sell these, number one. And number two, when I buy these, I buy the tekkas that are holding the first class relics, and I get the first class relics for free. Buying only the reliquaries or the tekkas. So I do not like to be judged by others. Remember, he who casts the stone in a glass house, you know that saying? So stop coming on my videos and telling me what I should or shouldn't do with my relics. If I'm going to hell, that's my business, not yours. Thank you for understanding. I don't want to see any more of these comments. I will delete them and ban you from my channel. I am actually offering the church so that they can see these relics, venerate these relics, and bless people with these relics. I have been told by one priest I have to get the bishop's permission in order to share these relics with the parishioners. Another one is actually interested in the usage of my relics, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud to have St. Frances Xavier Cabrini in my collection, along with over 50 something other relics, first and second, in my collection. So thanks for watching. See you guys all soon. This was another really, really great find. And please do not judge me for you do not want to be judged as well. I might also add, have you ever never sinned in your life? I'm sure you're not perfect like Jesus Christ himself. So again, do not cast stones in a glass house, and thanks for watching. Hope you all subscribe and give me a thumbs up.